Alive and Well STL is a presentation of the St. Louis Regional Health Commission and Rare Gem Productions to build a healthier St. Louis. Power up with the positive. Learn more at oneraregem.com. That's ONERAREGEM.com.
Support for Alive and Well STL comes from Beyond Housing, helps entire communities become better places to live. Learn more at beyondhousing.org.
The Regional Health Commission works in partnership with regional health sector advocates and stakeholders to improve healthcare access, reduce health disparities, and improve health outcomes for the uninsured and the underinsured in St. Louis City and County.
Alive and Well STL with Bethany Johnson-Javois, CEO of the St. Louis Integrated Health Network.
Today we are continuing our conversation. While we realize the need to be physically well, many of us overlook addressing our mental and spiritual wellness as a way to improve our overall well-being.
Just listen to your body. Be honest about where you are, about how you're feeling. Pain and some of the issues that we're talking about thrives in the dark. It's because we won't talk about it. It's because we won't address the trauma or the anger or the hurt or the pain that it continues to thrive and eat away at us. Be honest about where you are and be willing to then, in your honesty, decide what step makes sense for you. So not to just know, but now that you know, you're accountable, do something about it.
We are learning through Alive and Well STL together. In order to be physically well, we must also be mentally and spiritually well. We want to take the time to recognize small steps that you and your family can take in order to achieve wellness this year. We'll be right back. Riisa, tell us what you have resolved to do to be more alive and well in 2015.
Well, for me, spiritual focus is critically important. So what I do is make a daily practice of spending time. For me, it's in the Bible, so reading and that meditation. That I've been doing over the past several years. So this year, just to take it a step further, I reflect and I write, because that's another thing that I've promised myself I will do, is to write more. And I write about how that impacts me. And then I think about ways that I'm going to use that throughout the week. And so to keep myself accountable, I'm starting with my church a youth group of young people to look at how we walk out our spirituality and what does that look like in real life, and how can we hold ourselves accountable for being the principles that we are supposed to embody.
Alive and Well STL.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today. I am Bethany Johnson-Javois, host of Alive and Well STL and managing director of the Ferguson Commission. Today, we are continuing our conversation with Connie Fisher, director of mental health promotion at Mental Health America of Eastern Missouri, and Riisa Easley, project director at St. Louis Regional System of Care. We are learning through Alive and Well STL together. In order to be physically well, we must also be mentally and spiritually well. We want to take the time to recognize small steps that you and your family can take in order to achieve wellness. Connie and Riisa, thank you both for being here. Riisa, what is the work being done by the St. Louis Regional System of Care in this realm of resiliency?
So the system of care, I was given an analogy just recently that I really like and my son will appreciate. I'm kind of get to be the point guard in looking at what initiatives are taking place regionally and bringing those conversations together to make sure that they are supported in a way that develops an infrastructure to provide all of the care and service that young people who have mental health concerns or are at risk of mental health concerns would need. And so we are not providing direct services, but providing a framework so that those who are can understand what's existing, how they overlap, and how to provide the greatest impact to the largest amount of young people throughout the region.
So what are you finding as you look at different pieces and pockets of work trying to bring all these things together? Is there good news that you can share about the region?
Oh, this is exciting. Every time I have a conversation, I learn about something that I didn't know about. There is so much good stuff going on in St. Louis, and I think there are so many best kept secrets. And so I have the privilege of going and drinking from fire hoses and amassing all of this information and connecting dots. So there's a lot of good stuff going on. The Alive and Well, the trauma informed, is something that's been resonating with so many different audiences. When we talk about the work the MHA is doing and talk about their resilience and burnout and stress management workshops, that's something that people can definitely ascribe to. There's a lot of work that's being done on the other end that's looking at implicit bias or cultural competence, looking at class standards. And so being able to find all those pieces and looking creatively at things that impact young people's lives that we might not have thought about because we're expanding the audience and broadening the funnel just shows me how much there is that's going on. And it gives me hope about how much we can actually transform the outcomes in our regions when we start to pull these pieces together. So I'm excited, and the plan will be developed by September. That's our goal. And to be able to share with the community some of what's going on and to get as many people a part of the conversation as possible.
Speaking of that, there's a group of people in our community who don't necessarily feel part of the conversation. That hope is something that is deferred, that feels very far away. And to those that are listening, or to those that kind of feel like, I see that change is needed, but I don't know how to do it, and I don't know where to plug in. Do you have any advice for those listeners who are struggling more than they are optimistic about what the future looks like?
I am a huge advocate of looking at the small wins, because sometimes when you're in a period of transition, when you're in a period where it seems like the sky is falling and it's just everything, when it rains, it pours and everything is going wrong at the same time, finding, I call them love notes, those little glimmers of hope where you see that there is something at play that's larger than me, and that I know at the end of the day that while I can't see it from my spot, I can't see it in this moment, that it's going to be okay on the other side. Holding on to those is really important. And the one thing that I could not emphasize enough is the power of collaboration, of reaching out to other people. Because in those moments, that's when you feel like, you know what, I have a little bit of energy and a little bit of hope left. I have this small reserve. And so I'm not sharing with you because I don't know where my next supply is coming from. But we know intuitively from experience, and actually it's supported by research, that those are the moments when it's critically important for us to reach out to other people, because you may not have that hope, but someone else may have it and they can hold on for you long enough for you to find your own. And I can share hope with you, and I can borrow your hope until I'm able to say, you know what, I see a little glimmer. It's small, but I'm going to hold on to it. I can't do that in a vacuum. I can't do that by myself, but one of our greatest resources are the people who are standing beside us, and we forget to look at them sometimes. And it doesn't have to be something major. It can be something really small. It can be a hug. It can be a smile. It can be a word of encouragement. But those are the things that sustain us until we can see greater change, until we can have greater hope and share our stories so that we perpetuate that inspiration, that hope, and that positive progress.
Connie, what do you have to add?
And there's actually a book called Strong in the Broken Places. It's an old book, and it was about Vietnam vets. And the vets that survived the best were abused children because they knew how to survive. And sometimes we forget, and I remember doing this when I was in practice, working with somebody whose story was horrific. What they survived and got through and were still working through was horrific. But I would stop and pause periodically and say, do you really get the miracle of that you are here? And that you are, okay, really? You're just working through some stuff. You forget that you've already lived through the worst thing. If you've already lived through the worst thing, it can only get better. And you already have those skills. You just need to add some of the more positive ones because you've learned all the negative ones. So we forget sometimes that there is strength in the difficult times. I've learned more from my mistakes and my hard times. And I'm also a person who's lived through the 60s. So I have lots of hope. This needed to happen. These kinds of changes and struggles that people go through needed to happen so that the big change can happen. I have a lot of hope for St. Louis. A lot of hope.
So we're still in the early part of the year 2015, and people make resolutions. They make commitments for the year. I want you to pretend to be doctors and write a prescription for this region. What are the top 2 to 3 resolutions you want us to take on this year?
Wow, that's a wonderful question. That's a powerful, powerful question. And I want to go back to the 3 domains. Okay. It's critically important for us to think holistically, because we a lot of times will invest all of our time, energy, and resources into one specific area, and we forget that there's the rest of me that needs to be. So I'm going to start spiritually because for me that's most important. So if you start spiritually, I would say that you need to find at least one time each day, and I would recommend starting the day with something positive and empowering. And I would recommend that you not just ingest it, but you get it to be shared. So you find something positive at the beginning of the day, and your goal before you get back to your bed that evening is to share that with someone else. If every person decided that they were going to do that and find something positive and share that with one person every day this year, it would make a huge impact. I think another thing that we need to do, I'm going to go to mental, is to just listen to your body. Be honest about where you are, about how you're feeling. Pain and some of the issues that we're talking about thrives in the dark. It's because we won't talk about it. It's because we won't address the trauma or the anger or the hurt or the pain that it continues to thrive and eat away at us. Be honest about where you are and be willing to then, in your honesty, decide what step makes sense for you. So not to just know, but now that you know, you're accountable, do something about it. So that could be calling someone and saying, you know what, I'm having a really tough time and I need some help with this. That could be calling a professional and saying, you know what, I've done everything I know to do and I need some counseling. Because if we start to think that way, we change the paradigm. And so mental health doesn't become a bad word. It becomes something that is a part of all of us, that we're all invested and committed to engaging in and promoting together. And then physically, get up and walk. Just walk. That's simple. Get up and walk every day. If you can get 5,000 steps in a day, that's a great start. Other people are in different places and they like to be in the gym or whatever else you do. That's fine. But get up and move every day. We have to start thinking more holistically about our health and our well-being. We have to start thinking outside of ourselves and think about how it impacts others. So when you get up, take somebody up with you and go outside and take a walk. If you can't go outside, walk around your house. I'm on this new fitness program because that's one of my goals as well this year. One of my programs was a walk-jog combination thing. And I was like, oh, it's raining, it's dark, and it's cold. I can't really go outside. I don't have a treadmill in my house. I didn't want to go to the gym. And so I did laps around my house. And it was kind of funny because my family was there and they were all doing things. And they're like, what are you doing? I was like, hey, I made this commitment to myself. So it was so funny that by the time I was finished with it, I had a trail. So my daughter was walking / jogging literally around the house with me and the baby was crawling behind us. So it was something that was so simple, but it was something I committed to. And we make excuses. And I said, I'm not making an excuse. I'm going to do it. And in me doing that, it became a joke. And so we burned calories because we were all laughing at me, but it's okay. And everyone joined me. So those are simple things that we can all make a commitment to doing for ourselves and for each other throughout the year.
I would practice two things. One is acceptance. Now, people misunderstand acceptance. They think it means I'm okay with this or it's fine.
And acceptance is not tolerance.
It is not. Acceptance means it is what it is. We used to have a saying in our office that it is what it is, it becomes what you make of it. So you first have to accept the facts before you can take an action. When you try to change things you don't have control over, you feel out of control. But if you accept, okay, this is the way it is, given that this is the way it is, what are my choices in my reaction? That's where you're powerful. So that empowers you and makes you not feel so hopeless, not feel so helpless, because you take control and the control starts with you. And then the second thing I would practice is mindfulness. Being in the present moment, because this is where you have power. We what if and scare ourselves into the future. We have no power over the future except to be in the present and make choices and plans. We guilt ourselves into the past. We have no power over the past except to own what we've done, make apologies and amends, and or learn from our mistakes. When we go to those two places, we disempower ourselves. So if you do those two things, practice mindfulness and acceptance, you will make phenomenal changes in your life. Those two things are very hard to practice. But when you do them, you feel much better.
Well, Riisa and Connie, thank you for joining us today and for bringing this wealth of information and wisdom to our region and beyond. As we wrap up, is there anything else that you want to share in closing?
Just think that you can do this. You can make a difference in your mental health and your physical health. It is not that hard. You can do that. And I think people make the mistake of thinking they can't.
And I just want to say I am really proud of our region. It wasn't in my plan to move to St. Louis. I didn't see myself here, but this is the best move I've ever made. And so for those who don't feel that same level of hope or optimism, I want to extend that for you. Until you're there yourself, you can borrow some of mine. I'm really hopeful for this region. I'm proud of St. Louis. I'm proud of the work that's going on and the progress that we're making. And I'm excited for what lies ahead for us.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us for another lively episode of Alive and Well St. Louis. We look so forward to speaking with you again next week. And if you want to learn more or get more information about how to live your life emotionally well or need to find resources for professional help, please visit the website of Mental Health America of Eastern Missouri at mha-em.org. For more information about today's program and to become involved in our Alive and Well STL, download the smartphone application Bonfire, Bonfyre, and search for Alive and Well or visit us online at aliveandwellstl.com. We'll be back again next week. Thanks for listening.
You are invited to join the conversation. If you, your family, or your organization is interested in talking about how we better the well-being well-being of the region. Sign up for more information, join the conversation, log on to aliveandwellstl.com, and let's build a plan on how we can work together and improve our overall health and become alive and well. The Regional Health Commission with Chief Executive Officer Robert Friend Jr. committed to providing a detailed review of change over the past decade in 14 leading health indicators for the city and county of St. Louis. The first decade review of health status report, an update to building a healthier St. Louis. Discover the narrative, the data, and celebrate the progress already made to improve healthcare access and reduce health disparities in our region. Learn more at stlrhc.org. Alive and Well STL is another positive production of Rare Gem Productions. Thanks for listening.